All right, I
Yes.
think we both got this. Well,
Cool.
Anita, it is so good to see you again.
You
Uh,
too.
yeah, okay. So, I guess we're both using this video.
Yeah.
You want to make use for your YouTube. Let me know what you need to get from it. For your
Okay.
purposes, you can edit it together, and I will let you know what I need, which essentially is just a quick discussion about the target. Um, and then you can talk to me about what you feel is most relevant to uh, of your data, what you experienced. So perhaps if we could knock my piece out first, then I can put more time into your bit there.
Okay. So I'm gonna be your guest right now. So you take it
Yes.
away.
Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. I will share my screen with you, but first I need to pull up the target just so I can read it uh, for the camera and then chop all this up later. Find where I posted everything. So have you been doing a lot of viewing lately?
No. So this month, only two.
Okay.
And that's because I'm looking for a tasker.
Oh, okay.
Like I wanna do like I want some kind of a real scientist to be
Mm,
tasker
okay.
and like say this is perfectly genuine. Like someone with
Gotcha.
so much credibility, but they
Yes.
don't want to be a tasker.
Oh my gosh.
They don't want to do RV. They don't want
Uh, there's got to be a balance between the
yeah.
scientists and everybody else
So
here.
I was so happy to get a target from you because it's been
Oh,
so slow over here.
absolutely. Yeah. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you. But to get right into it, I guess I'll just read to you this target and everything associated with it real quick here, just so we're starting on the same page. All right. So our feedback, which I shared after receiving the target data from everyone. So nobody has sent me stuff afterwards. Anita, you sent your target data to me, I think 20 minutes before I posted the feedback on the group.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm the project title, the location of Ingo's UAP encounter. Now, have you read Ingo Swann's book Penetration?
I have not.
Okay, then I will have to explain some of this. I guess before I read any further, I will explain the backstory here. And this is pretty simple. Ingo, in his book Penetration, he recounts a number of his experiences with the Stanford Research Institute during the 70s. This particular event is when he was taken by a character codenamed Axelrod into the woods to observe a UFO that appeared at this particular place in the woods on something of a regular schedule. And so they arrived and they witnessed the UFO in the air. So that's a quick summation of this part of his book, which a lot of people believe this is based on fact. And I wanted to verify a few things and get a sense. As you'll see, I'm about to read the project Q. I wanted to find out exactly where he was when he was having this experience, when he was viewing the UFO. So if all that makes sense, I'll go ahead and actually read what the Q was. You ready for me to continue?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the project Q. The remote viewer will accurately perceive in high detail and sketch the surroundings slash location around Ingo Swann, Ingo's physical body, as he directly or indirectly perceived a diamond-shaped UFO above a lake during an early weekend in July of 1977. The remote viewer will not perceive data slash information stated within the book entitled Penetration. RVers will only perceive the reality, location, and circumstances that inspired the written UFO encounter reported in Penetration. So a lot of information there, but we'll see how that turns out. And I want to start sharing my tasker intentions and my biases as part of targets so that people can judge um, if somebody is remote viewing something straight out of my mind, if they're remote viewing something out of the book. I just want to put as much information out there as possible. So my intention with this target, to determine the location and circumstances under which Ingo observed the UFO referenced in the penetration book. So I have this broken down into 5 parts here. One, as stated in the book, did Ingo literally hike to a location in the middle of nowhere and directly observe a UFO with his physical eyes? So that's one possibility of specifically what was written in the book. Two, was Ingo taken to a military viewing room or theater to watch a previously recorded UFO encounter? Possibility number 3, did Ingo remote view or perceive through psi means the stated UFO encounter from a more secure location, possibly with the assistance of spirit guides and so on? Possibility number 4, are the circumstances pertaining to this event not mentioned in the other things I've listed above? And lastly, is the above written event an imagined slash manufactured event to serve some specific purpose? And what is that purpose? So a lot of people believe that this event was based on something that actually happened. So my goal is to find out, was he physically in a place where he saw this UFO, or did he remote view this, or uh, was he taken to a military screening room? So that's basically kind of what I was looking for. How did he see this UFO? As far as my biases, um, Fabian is equally open and biased to all of the possibilities stated under the tasker intention. He is also open to scenarios not mentioned above. So I'm open-minded here. I'm willing to accept whatever remote viewers come back to me with, especially as there may be overlapping data and such. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing from here.
Yeah.
And
You have
yeah.
to be open-minded to
I
accept
am
my
very,
report.
I am very open-minded.
Good.
And I will look at your report in addition to the reports of everybody else and just see where there's overlap and kind of go from there and see, what am I getting? What have all the taskers said that is common ground? So,
So, one question.
yes.
In the book, Ingo claims that it was a physical sighting with his eyes at the lake.
He claims, yes, that he was taken to this lake. However, this book, uh, there's a lot of evidence that he was speaking in code for a
Oh,
lot of the book. So there were some things that he had to change the reality of what happened. Some of this stuff is very closely tied to something really true that happened, but so that the his book would not be pulled from shelves, the way his previous book had been, for sharing top secret information or coming a little too close to the truth. This book was written with quite a bit of code to it, where he would say one thing, but he was hoping that people would research further and find out what the truth is behind what he wrote.
interesting.
Does that make
Very,
sense?
no, but
Okay.
interesting.
Okay. What,
All
well,
right.
to make it a little, to tell a little bit more backstory on that. He wrote the book Starfire, and that book got a little too close to the truth of several top secret government programs at that time. And it had been published. It was in the running to be made into a movie in Hollywood. And literally overnight, as soon as it looks like, I'm guessing the CIA found out about this movie, the movie got canceled from production, and the books had been pulled from shelves everywhere. Uh, so where the books used to be, They were all pulled from shelves overnight. And so yeah, it basically
Let's
disappeared.
let's hope that we don't disappear after after
Yeah,
this one.
I'll keep some stuff pretty secret here. So yes, he
Interesting.
wrote the book Penetration with a bit of secrecy to it, and so he disguised some of his words. He'll say, yeah, there are little key words that he says that if you really read between the lines, that like he'll mix up dates on purpose so that you'll look into things that were happening on specific dates and find out other truths. So,
Exhausting.
yes, it's very exhausting. And I've
Oh,
been deep into that research for a while now. So,
well,
this whole project here has really been about trying to uncover one of those truths. And that's where he was and exactly what he was doing when he learned that our government knew about UFOs and this particular event that was in the target queue.
mm.
So yeah, that is the goal behind this experiment here.
You could just, what I would need from you is to please state that this was a blind target. There were there were no clues, there was no front loading, no retasking, and that I submitted my material to you before I knew the feedback, making it a verified session.
Excellent. I can do that.
Yeah, just like that.
Now
We could
I'm just
just, we
pulling up
can,
my notes here on my phone to see if there's anything else on here. So you're going to use the part that I just read. Okay. All right. Okay. So if you're ready, we can jump right
yeah,
into that.
yeah, just like that. Doesn't have to be scripted or
No, it doesn't have
anything.
to be all big and elaborate.
No, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Well, hi, Anita.
Hi,
Um,
Fabian.
okay. So um, I want to state for the record right now that I'm going to take a quick look at the target number. And I want to state that the only thing, this was a blind target that I posted on remote viewing practice targets on the Facebook group. And I did not do any front loading. I didn't say anything about this target. All I did was post in that group the target number 1244-1118. That is the target number, the randomized target number that I came up with, which is actually the time and date that I came up with this target, which was 12:44 p.m. on November 18th. So that's the only information I posted on this group. So um, target numbers, no communications with anyone privately. Um, we just agreed. I just put it out there and said that feedback would be coming in on Sunday. It is now Sunday. I received everyone's feedback, including Anita's here, at least 20 minutes before I posted feedback for everybody to see. And with that, I think, is that everything we need there?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it still doesn't, like, technically it doesn't verify what did I send to you, you know? So
Oh,
could
okay.
you,
Well, I can say yes. Well, so what Anita sent to me, now I have not had a chance to read through your session yet because I was out with family when I posted the feedback. But what I received from Anita were first her full session, which I believe was, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I got it at a glance. Was it maybe around 12 pages?
16, I think.
16 pages. Got that PDF. I also received your summary, which was a second document. And then I received a bunch of pictures from you, which I
Oh,
guess I'll have you share your screen here soon.
yeah.
But yes, you sent a bunch of pictures and you also posted those in the group. So you sent them to me directly as well as to the group. And yeah,
Could you
so you sent
just,
me.
the full text is too big for you to verify. Could you maybe open the summary text and just read here and there or
Sure.
something just to
Sure. Let me
verify
find that.
what I sent to you. I mean,
Sure thing.
just to keep it real, keeping it real.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen here in a moment. Once I have, I'm just going to open this folder here that has all of the data that you sent me. Okay, I'm now sharing
Yes, I see it.
your, and if I open this, I'm gonna click on this. Are you seeing what popped up there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you're okay. So I just did a screenshot there. I'm going to start with your text report.
Just the
Maybe
Yeah, but nobody can know that I didn't edit this in and alter. Could you maybe open the summary and just read just
sure.
a little bit of this and that, just from
Okay.
somewhere?
I'm going to start at your third paragraph down here. Are you able to see my mouse and all that stuff?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll just start reading right here. The life forms are not humans. Their organs and tissue are not human. There
That's
are
good.
more deep. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
that's good enough.
And
All
then
right.
maybe scroll down and just the planet there is another planet which is orange.
Ah, yes, another planet which is orange. It has an orange sky with big clouds and orange sand and hills and sand dunes on the
Yeah.
ground.
And then the one lots of then the crystal is a large radio mass, and then I'm
Okay,
happy with
so
that.
down here, the crystal
Yeah.
is a large radio mast emitter.
Yeah, that's
We see
good.
life forms. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That
You want me to
just so that
scroll?
people know that the actual material that I'm going to send is what I sent to you. Maybe show
Absolutely.
some of the drawings, not the
Yes, I
first
have all your
ones.
pictures right
Okay,
here, 1 through 12.
maybe open
So,
one and just not this one.
okay. All right.
And
Do you
just
have a
like
preference?
um
Let's take a look at what number 7 is.
yeah,
Oh,
okay, this one.
that works?
So just or actually if you can just find okay, this one, just say you see a planet with rings and then a yellow
Yes.
planet.
All right. I see a planet, a very beautifully colored planet with some purple to it, purple rings,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
becomes yellow. So it becomes
Yeah.
this thing that looks like a sun.
Okay,
And
cool. And
okay.
then find something with a crystal. Find
Okay.
one with then I'm happy. Then people are happy. Okay, here you see
Okay. I
crystals
see
on
some
the
crystals right over here.
yes,
And
yes.
if you like, I guess you don't even have to share your screen if you don't want to. I'll just keep share. Oh, I'm the one sharing my screen right now. Anita sent me all of this information. And so I'm just pulling up what I downloaded from her before I shared my remote viewing information.
Yeah. I'm gonna share
Okay.
my screen next, but now we know
Okay.
it's gonna be the same as it's a
Sure.
verified session.
The question that I will ask, the main purpose of this target, I need to know um, where Ingo physically was when he saw this UFO. There are a number of possibilities. You've heard what my biases were that in his book he wrote that he was in the middle of a forest. That we don't know where this forest is, but we know that he was taken to this forest, um, and he didn't even know what country he was in, and he watched this UFO rise up
How
above a lake.
how does he not know what country he is in?
He was picked up via military aircraft and transported for approximately, in his words, 5 hours by flight. And
Hmm.
he slept on some of the flight. And when they landed, they drove for another 2 hours, and then they hiked for about another hour,
All this
40
to see a
minutes later.
UFO?
Yes.
I've seen
Yeah.
UFOs from my backyard.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
I was when
you
I
got a
was a
different
kid. I've seen
situation. Yeah.
hundreds of UFOs very close by. I didn't have to
Yeah.
to take. This is very
Yeah. But
elaborate.
this one, now he's saying this one would show up in this particular place like clockwork.
Okay.
So that is what was written in the book. What I have a bias toward is that maybe he was not taken out of the country, all this stuff about flying around. I am biased toward thinking maybe that did not happen. Maybe he was taken to a military facility not far from SRI, where he was taken into a screening room or a theater and shown footage of a UFO. So
And
that's
that
something that
and
I
that
think,
he would maybe write it differently because he has to be a bit clear.
yes. So it would have been a major military breach if he had shared that information about being taken to a screening room.
Oh,
So he wrote it as an adventure story that he was taken there.
huh.
So that is a bias of mine, and I'm not the only person with that thought. And then there's another high possibility. I believe he was simply given paper and pencil, a paper and pen, and remote viewing this UFO to
Mm.
learn more about it. So those are my biases going into this project. So based on your experience doing this target, um, I'd like to ask you about where you think our main subject was. Was he indoors or outdoors? Uh, and and perhaps even starting there, did it seem like a controlled indoor or outdoor type environment?
Well, the main subject, did you call it?
Mhm. Or the human subject, which is to be Ingo. I'm sure you might have experienced that there were other subjects or devices
I had
around.
lots of subjects, but I had no human subject.
Okay. Okay.
But the main subject was a crystal. And you're saying
Okay.
that this UFO was diamond shaped.
Yes.
I have a crystal which is same as diamond with the shapes.
Mhm.
That's my main subject. And I have life forms and they're not human.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's take it from there. So I'm going to share my screen.
Hmm.
Can you see my text?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my summary.
Okay.
Um, I'll just show the text quick and then I will just explain, but it's all here.
Okay. Great.
Um, the main element is a life form. The thing
Okay.
that shows up first is the red, and that is a life form. It starts out blurry. I have to do a lot of work to actually see the finer details. So these are the first things that show up. Black smoke, life form. The yellow turns out to be radiation, some kind of barrel, and the mast. The mast will turn out to be a crystal or to have a crystal on it. Here, after I look a bit closer, I have names for things. Here I'm calling it a wire, but this wire is huge and turns out to have or be a crystal. I have life forms that are, they have to like bend down a bit and they go inside of this hole. And later in session, I did this session over 2 whole days. I put a lot of hours into it. Later in session, when I went in through the hole, I started to get sleepy, like I would have fallen asleep. And there was something to do with like a time travel. So it's something weird like that in the hole. But it's not so important. I also have this gate, which I wanted to call Stargate, which is interesting because Ingo did all
Oh,
this remote viewing stuff and they named everything Stargate, didn't they?
yes.
I wanted to name this one a Stargate. I felt like it's something that you could go through and that it is the literal Stargate of all the legends and the RV names and everything, but that's the one. And it's
Okay.
massive, it's huge. I had that. Um, so the mast is the type of technology which creates a pulsating dark pink colored energy which engulfs a whole planet, believe it or not. And it's used as a weapon. I had 2 planets in this session very clearly. And just for the record, Fabian doesn't always give me space or planets or alien targets. The previous one we did was a dinosaur from Earth.
Yes. And I'll be honest, I hate giving UFO targets because I feel like it's overdone. But this one happened to be important to a large project that I'm working on. So I made an exception and did UFOs this time.
Yeah. So when I was starting to see planets and kind of sci-fi vibes, I was thinking, okay, this is a kind of typical Fabian target anyway, kind of something he would like to ask us about. But it wasn't anything I was expecting because I get all kinds of things from Fabian. I can never know what to expect. But this first planet, it's turquoise pink and it has a lilac colored rings like Saturn. And this planet ends up being destroyed by the mast, the energy weapon, which burns it, and it becomes a yellow planet with yellow sky and yellow sand. I'm a bit confused because at times it was indicated one turns into the other. However, it's contradictory, but I also, every time I went to the pink planet, I could see the orange planet from the sky. It was in the sky. And every time I went to the yellow planet, I could see the pink planet. It was in the sky. So it was as if they were neighboring planets, but something has happened where the pink one doesn't exist anymore and we only have the yellow one. Maybe one was destroyed and something like this. But I've seen one from the other and the other from the first one. The orange planet has just sand. There are no plants there. It reminded me of Mars, except that the sky is yellow, not blue. It has massive yellow clouds which contain a soft metal inside the clouds. It's kind of soft and it's jagged shaped, literally in the clouds. And this mast is on this yellow planet, but I've also seen it on the pink planet. And this mast, you see the tall tower, that's the thing that, and turns out, has the crystal. And on the planet, which is pink and turquoise, we have oceans or lakes and rivers, which are not water. They are a type of slushy metal, which forms these thin metal flakes, and these flakes break and get pushed upward. So they stand up a bit, kind of like you see in the Antarctic, you see some ice pushed up and crashing into each other. It's really beautiful. I spent a lot of time looking at this amazing water and just these beautiful metallic shards. Really beautiful other planets. The main life form looks like an astronaut. It has a orange jumpsuit and a white helmet and something that goes across the mouth and dark boots. And however, it gets really weird because when I start to look closely, because I always draw the face of a human that I have, it's just not a human. So it's really upsetting or frustrating to have a session like that because it doesn't make sense. Yeah, there we have the crystal again. I believe that I must have been on target and that Ingo's diamond-shaped UAP must be my crystal in one way or another. Massive crystal against mast. Also saw settlements which had a feel like industrial bases, and there were mining operations. These life forms were mining for crystals which are used as weapons. And they were doing this on other planets. So there were these bases with some tech for mining purposes and for building weapons. It wasn't so much a home for a people. It was more of mining and construction of these weapons, or at least mining part, if the weapons are made elsewhere. Here's the big energy, which was generated by the big crystal, and some weird structures that I saw on the sand. All kinds of shaped structures, buildings that I don't really recognize. The thing with the life form, as I started to look at this astronaut's face, RV, as I call it, remote viewing, kept telling me that it looks like a cat. It's like a feline face. So it has like these cheeks outward and a snout. The bottom half of the face is just this cat's nose. Really weird stuff. That's what I had. Here we see the turquoise pink planet. It has a pink sky and the ground is light blue turquoise. It was so beautiful to be there. And we see a lake with slushy metal and all these crystal buildings. And this is again the tower mast, which is the crystal, and something shaped like a lotus flower with these lobes. And you can have the pink energy weapon inside in the center of these lobes. Here I'm trying to see the astronaut again, and this thing is weird. I kept seeing a bird, like a duck.
Mhm.
This session is a bit weird, but so this astronaut life form is inside of a cave, and these crystals are just falling down and being picked up and harvested. And this weird bird, but when I look closer, the bird was a structure like this. It can happen in remote viewing. If you see a shape, this slot somehow looks like a duck's mouth. Somehow my mind wanted it to look like a duck. I don't know fully what's going on here. Maybe like I don't know this element.
Interesting.
Something like this or the other, which
Okay.
which carries liquids and supplies for people when I look at what is it. But it's not a life form, this duck thing. But
Okay.
you know, I could just show my completed finished drawings and we wouldn't have things like this. I would have just shown this. This is what it kind of is when I look really close, but I show everything.
Yes, I think that's kind of important to do, just in case there is an there are more aspects.
Yeah,
I like seeing your process.
some of my early drawings can sometimes look a bit weird. Like
Hmm.
like this red, it's a life form, but when you look closer, it starts to look like this astronaut person,
Okay.
But it's a
Wow.
journey. And when I start looking really close at the astronaut's face, because I'm thinking, I gotta draw this, what I'm still hoping is a human, because I can make some sculptures, digital sculptures. I'm really good at getting the face. This is what I get.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see how much
Okay.
detail I've added. So I've really been
Yes.
everywhere, looking here, looking here. This is what
Hmm.
comes out. Clearly not a human.
Yes, very clearly.
Do you see me zooming in?
Yes.
Look at the eyes. I don't know if it's
Yes,
called
I see it.
reticulated or what, but it's like insects. It's these
Wow.
sections. So beautiful.
Yes, and I'll say in looking at this picture, it looks like you're drawing surface features as well as subdermal features because I'm like looking at the nose, that side, and then the way you've drawn different colors on different parts, I feel like I'm seeing the flesh and then I'm seeing a little bit below that too.
No, I think this is all surface, but it has different
Really?
colors on different areas.
I
Yeah.
see. Okay.
So the eyes look like this, and it has like a raised portion on the forehead. These 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 ridges
Hmm.
across the face. Some scaly on the cheeks, orange colored. I didn't color the whole face because
Hmm.
I realized that to color everywhere, I would have to look everywhere, and that's a lot of work. So I did a little bit of here and there.
Okay.
The gray colors are all meant to be just darker shading, so it isn't technically gray.
Hmm.
You can see on the side of the head, it has like a depression that goes inward a bit.
Yes.
And the top of the head actually is sunken in a bit.
Oh,
And all these were some deep lines that go into the head on the top of the head, some more scaly. The nose was more red with smaller scales, larger orange scales on the cheeks. All the white areas I simply have not colored in.
okay. I see.
And what
Wow.
frustrates me tremendously, because it just doesn't fit in, but I have to include it, it has hairs from its chin or nozzle.
Oh, wow.
And so it
Oh,
has
very
this protruding
complicated.
nose.
Hmm.
You can see all these lines that I've added. I've really been groping and inspecting this life form very closely.
Hmm.
You can see that it has, again, on the sides of the neck, it has this raised ridge portion that
Yes.
stands out. It's here in white color. You can see that on the center of the throat is dark. It goes inward along the center and has like a pit here.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so I was really looking everywhere, and
Wow.
I mean it. I'm speechless. I've seen all kinds of different, and it has rather muscular upper arms, yet the arms are slender. But it has a big chunk here on the, and it's more of a dark green on the chest.
Okay.
I've seen all kinds of aliens in various ways, and I've never seen this. I've seen reptilians mentally, maybe physically.
Hmm.
I never saw one like this with
I
this kind
see.
of face and the color, the coloration and those eyes. I have never seen these eyes on any alien being. So, and to have this different, like to have green as well as the red, orange, and yellow maybe goes together, but to also have green is just, I never seen anything like
Wow.
this. But this is what I get when I inspect the astronaut closer.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
just, I was really struggling with this session. I was thinking, am I just wrong or is it imaginary and not real? But there comes a point where I just stop holding back and just go with it and just draw, keep drawing,
Hmm.
keep going. And
Yeah.
then I try to draw it again. And this is the same being. It has some kind of breathing apparatus across the mouth with the beige color. And
Hmm.
some of these ridges might be some kind of tubing connected to, I don't know. And here I saw it with a hood over the head, and it would then presumably also have a white helmet, which is not drawn but would be on top of the hood. Again, the yellowish color here and the darker green here. I've never
Wow.
seen, but you see how much detail is here. This is no
Yes.
longer a blurry, fuzzy, I don't really see what it is. Here I'm really looking. I'm
Hmm.
looking at the finer details. I'm seeing all the lines. I'm seeing the scaly pattern on the skin and the lines, and where does it go inward or come outward. I'm really close there. And again, these hairs from the face. I don't
Hmm.
know. I
Wow.
just get what I get. I have to draw it. I
Yes.
don't get
Oh,
to choose.
yes.
And this is the last drawing. This is the pink turquoise planet. It looks a lot like Saturn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It
Or
really does.
any planet that happens to have a ring. So, and so many planets have rings. All gas giants seem to have rings. So it's very interesting.
So, so this crystal is a weapon. It's also let's see what I wrote. There's a planet which is pink, lilac, turquoise. It has rings like Saturn. The rings consist of metal. I talked about the lakes. The life forms are mining crystals. One huge crystal has been made into a massive radio tower. This large transparent crystal can form a red light inside it. This crystal is part of creating a massive energy weapon, forming a dark pink energy mass, which can be used to grab a whole entire planet, to shift a planet in position.
Mm.
The life forms are not humans. Their organs and tissue are not human. There are more details on this in the full text report. These life forms on the planet, they're fighting a lot. There have been wars. There was a military with soldiers. I saw casualties on the ground with molten bodies, like just shredded bodies. And all of this was because the life forms all have so much vanity. They all want to be the leader. They all want to be the first. It's a really interesting behavior. I didn't recognize it from human behaviors at all. It was almost like some
Okay.
kind of an animal that has this, where each individual wants to be the top in the hierarchy, kind of an animal kind of behavior. It did not
Okay.
seem, not just the bodies, but also this behavior did not seem human to me, even though humans fight and have wars. Not like
Hmm.
this. It was so petty in a way.
Oh
Petty,
no. Okay.
stupid,
Yeah.
arrogant, and vain. And this one person who did become the leader, there was a massive monument built, which looks like him or her or it sitting on a throne. And this is part of in the settlement.
I see.
So they're using crystals for weapons. We find bases that have an industrial facility type of feel and look. There is a crater which has got a base built into it. And the planets, lots of emphasis was on radio equipment and radio telecom communication. And also the energy mast with the crystal is a large radio mast emitter.
Hmm.
And I write in the end, what is this target then? Planets and alien life forms and warfare and some basic radio technology. I have asked myself throughout this session whether this whole thing is imaginary and not an objectively real target. I have instructed my RV to give me objective truth, even though a tasker might ask about a conceptual or a mythological concept. I have wanted to introduce objective reality into it. I can say that the planets, experience of the slushy lakes, clouds, and sky, have seemed to be perfectly real. Also, the large mast, which is the large crystal. I have been unable to experience the life forms as humans and unable to extract details about their body that would indicate them to be human. So let me show my full text report. Can you see this?
Yes.
So I wrote 16 pages. I write a lot because it's part of deciphering the signal and also to have everything in. So a lot of it is basic as well as repetitive, but that's how I do it.
Right.
I was definitely not on Earth, especially the emphasis being that there are no green plants. It's barren place. I was on another planet. So considering your tasking, signal did not take me to some lake on Earth in a forest.
Hmm.
Also, do not think Ingo is in here because I did not have a human.
Right.
These were not humans. But interestingly, to not force us to think that it's just a fail session, because I should have Ingo and a lake, the crystal is a main element.
Hmm.
And the UAP was the diamond. So I'm thinking that the answer to your tasking is somewhere in here. Since I
Okay.
don't have Ingo and I don't have a lake, it would suggest perhaps that he was not taken literally to a lake. But we did go to the diamond. The diamond is a weapon. It was
Hmm.
not a flying craft at any time. And it is alien. And it's a weapon, which is so strong that it can destroy a whole entire planet and turn it into a charred black, which then turned orange and changed color.
Okay.
Something like that. So life form, this is the main life form. The data in the earliest pages is very important because it's always spot on, even though it's on the blurriest stage. So
Hmm.
this is the life form, which turns out to be this reptilian-like astronaut. uh, this life form feels weird. The body seems kind of hollow inside, a different density than a human or other mammal animal would be. So right off the start, I'm recognizing this isn't a human body.
Right.
I did see organs, internal organs. I looked at the muscle. I even looked at the muscle fibers. It didn't have the same muscle fibers that humans have. It has this different mechanism for contractions, which I describe in the text. Has no hairs on the body, but later I found something like hairs on the face.
Yes.
No hair on its head. It suffers from cold, is not happy. The skin was clammy, soft, slimy almost, moisture on the surface of the body. This life form was not pleasant, is rather angry and quarrelsome, is not a pleasant individual to deal with. Then I have a smoke, radiation, which hurts me when I touched it.
Mm-hmm.
The wire turns out to be the crystal mast. Let's look at the early data because it's always spot on. Even though at this early stage, I just see this thing and I call it a wire. Later, I call it a crystal radio mast. Wire goes upward vertical, turns out to be a crystal. It's not hollow and so forth. Well, no, there's not so much. It's kind of sacred and has some ritual significance to the life forms.
Okay.
Grievances are being telecommunicated. Oh, here, this radio crystal mast. It sends out signals. Radio communication tower mast. It communicates a lot. It sends out a buckled time space. It sends out messages of grief. Grievances are being telecommunicated. It's filled with sparks. Some kind of barrel, which isn't so important. A hole, which later I went into the hole. There was this time travel element and falling asleep. Many life forms. This was other life forms. They get fussy, possessive of their property. They're angry, they fight over ownership, property. There's so much conflict among these life forms, warfare and fighting and who gets to be the leader.
Okay.
They don't like being talked to. They don't like me. They are filled with hate and vengeance. They want to kick things. A senior status on one of them. One of them has status. They feel empowered. They feel aggravated. The internal organs are placed differently than in humans. They don't have a liquid blood. They have a different blood pressure than we humans. They are quarreling with each other. Too much pride involved. Too proud to admit failure. Someone thinks of himself, he's noble class. So you really get an idea. They were very extreme in that regard. And here's the Stargate thing that I would have called Stargate, but I didn't really. Gate. This gate is at the crystal, which I suspect is whatever Ingo meant by the diamond UAP, would be the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of breathing devices, gas ventilators are at the gate. It feels like outer space equipment, like space travel. A gas inside is very strange. And I find this pink energy weapon at the gate. Gas and liquid is pumped here. Bolts, no chairs, and so forth. And also have a lot of communication with the life forms.
Okay.
Initially, I just
Now,
write them. Yeah.
I will need to say I'm going to need to end this call pretty soon because I have a few other things I need to take care of shortly, but I just wanted to give you the heads up.
Okay. I'll just speed up. So if I have communication initially, I don't respond, but after a while I get caught up and we talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ordinary. They don't really give information. It's always more like, who are you? What are you doing here? Yeah, I mean, this is what I have. I have a lot more data in this full text. I could just scroll it and then anyone can pause and read.
Yes, and I know you also shared all of this data on the group. I also have it all, so this is great.
I
Uh,
shared this full text I sent to you, but I did not put it into the group because it's
okay,
so much text, but you got it before the feedback.
all right. And I will be reading it over because I have not had a chance to read it over quite yet, but I will be reading it over along with everyone else's feed data as well to see where now several people did mention the crystal.
Really?
So that's very interesting.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Several people mentioned a crystal and they drew things very similar to the crystal that you drew.
Oh,
So multiple people got really close to that shape. And that is one area where I'm really going to focus my attention when I'm comparing things between your session and other people's. So we can continue talking about this as well, because I feel like you will probably like reading that particular chapter of penetration because when you described that this crystal is a weapon, it turned out that yes, this UFO that they saw in penetration started shooting in all directions, and it was shooting animals
what?
and anything that moved in the woods. It was shooting them with this kind of beam. So that is something that I think you would like to read. And then after you've read that, I'd like to continue. I'd like to hear what your thoughts were after reading about the nature of the weapon.
Okay. Here, I'll just add RV told me in words, like the thing that remote views says to me, eats a cat, a feline, I swear. RV had to speak to me and say, I swear, because
Hmm.
it was hard for me to accept that this life form would look feline like with this face, like a cat. But
Yeah.
RV is telling me, I swear, like it's not. And several times I was talking to RV and saying, look, this is science fiction. I want objective reality. And at some points in this text I'm writing, RV is telling me this is not imagination. I swear, I promise this is real.
Okay.
Um, Look here what I wrote. Comment. I'm about to cry. I sometimes I take a moment, I I stop remote viewing a bit and I just write my thoughts. Comment. I'm about to cry. This is the weirdest remote viewing I ever had, I think. But I can just go with what I am having. I just drew drawing 8 with a cat person in an astronaut suit who is mining for crystals in a cave, and there is a duck with feathers and wings in the cave with a feline astronaut.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so
But that is not necessarily a duck. It just
it's,
it
yeah, the
reminded
duck is,
you of something duck-like.
the duck, I don't really know, but it's an object which I, weird, weird. Even the buildings were weird that I
Hmm.
drew and saw. I don't fully comprehend. Um, let's see. Here's some more conversation. We are mining for the crystals. We are mining for the pretty things. Then I say, it was very nice to meet you, even though I'm a bit agitated that you should. No, it says, it was very nice to meet you, even though I'm a bit agitated that you should come here. And I say, I'm sorry, I'm only trying to draw you. And so forth. And they say, did you know we use them for weapons? We are liquid crystal miners. They make grenades. We have gravitation machines that create a pretty big bomb. Okay, so very interesting that you mentioned that it started shooting like a weapon.
Yes. Um, yes, I very
So,
much want you to read that
so,
part because you'll be interested.
so what would we say? My session says I definitely have like the diamond, which makes
Hmm.
me think I'm on target and I'm not just somewhere else. I work diligently to try to keep myself from going into imaginations and science fiction. I wanted objective reality, and I was still
Hmm.
getting a cat alien reptilian scaly thing in an astronaut suit. I don't know. This is weird. This is what I
Yeah,
got. I don't know what it
it's a
says
lot.
about Ingo, but I went to the crystal. diamond. I
Yes.
did not go to Ingo. I did not go to a
Hmm.
human. I did not go to Earth. I did not go to a lake or forest on Earth. I was out there. And this is what I
Okay.
had.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with me. I know, sometimes it can be really difficult to go through and understand everything we're looking at when we're first taking our first look at RV data. But where things really start to come together, especially with a project like this, where I think, were 5 or 6 people participating, is starting to look at the commonalities. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at some of this stuff because I already know that multiple people starting describing the large crystal, and knowing that straight out of the book, the crystal was a bit of a weapon. It's interesting that you picked up all that stuff. So your focus was on the crystal. So you were very near target, since the target was actually kind of where Ingo was positioned in all of this. But all the same, I know that remote viewers tend to gravitate to, if there is a target where there's something interesting over here, you're probably going to go over here as opposed to in the grass where people are watching something. Or if this is something that was being remote viewed from afar, you might just zero in on what's being remote viewed and not the person.
I have an idea. That gave me an idea. I mean, that's true.
Hmm.
Um, but the idea is like if we were hoping that we would go to when Ingo experienced or learned about this diamond UAP,
Hmm.
maybe we just went to the diamond UAP
Yeah.
to fully grasp, because maybe when it's on Earth shooting animals at the lake with Ingo or whatever, maybe that's not who it really is. Maybe we are going to where it's from. Maybe I went to learn what is this. Um,
Hmm.
where was it made? Who made it?
Yes.
How is it? What kind of composition does it have? Its home, its origin, its
Hmm.
character and essence. To know this diamond UAP, I went to it, not to one
And
of its stories of coming
you
to
know what's
Earth, maybe.
funny is that that's exactly what I was thinking as you were
Yeah,
going through your session the
yeah.
whole time. I was just thinking, okay, you didn't watch it along with Ingo. You went to where it was manufactured and gave me some data on where this thing came from. So that's what jumped out at me. And so I thought, oh boy, I didn't ask her to go to another solar system, but it looks very much like you looked into the history of this device,
Yeah.
and got a different sort of perspective on it. So that's very interesting.
Also,
Um,
also, I would I would like to think,
mhm,
or almost do think, that somewhere in my session is lies the answer to the
mhm.
tasking. Like somewhere in there
Yeah.
is the answer. Somewhere.
Yes.
I
And
just cannot
that
grab it.
Right. And you've got a lot of data. What I'm going to do is read through your data much slower because I know we're rushed on this call today. But I'm going to read through and look for specific details and also compare it to other sessions and see what I pull from everything. And then I'll share that with you as well. But I think that this initial talk, right after the feedback, is an important stage so I can really get a sense of what your experience was. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
sending me to another weird. I could have spent a week there. I had so much to look at. My favorite
Wow.
was the pink lilac planet and the slushy water and the clouds with metal in the clouds. It was really
Yes.
nice to be there.
Oh, that was very interesting. Okay, gosh. I always love working with you when we do these targets. This has been fantastic.
Hmm.
So I am definitely excited to do more of these.